Hi everybody, welcome again to our Consul Catch-Up and the Hangout for actually March. And sorry for being a bit delayed, but we had Easter vacation here in Munich, and I hope you guys were also busy with creating and hosting your activities. So welcome to all of you who have been with us for 3 months. That's basically our target audience for today, but also for all of you who circled us on Google Plus on our InterNations Academy page and also joined us today to get to know more from the first-hand experience of our consul, our guest speaker. So you've probably seen our faces, our familiar faces. I'm Anastasiya. Working here as a learning engagement lead, also taking care of InterNations Academy. And of course, Sam is with me. He is the groups manager responsible for
Latin America and Canada.
For Latin America and Canada. So we are not here alone today. As always, we have an experienced and active consul who will try to answer the questions that you might have. So we have Clement. Hi.
Hi.
Clement joined us all the way from, is it Vietnam or Singapore you're right now?
I'm in Singapore most of the time, but I'll be based in Vietnam for a while now, so this is where I'll be. But I'll actually just a bit of background. I'm actually running the Singapore badminton group. I'm actually going to continue to run that because I'll still be flying back to Singapore on alternate weekends, and that will be part of what I'm doing. So yeah, I'll keep it going.
That's really great to hear. I didn't realize that. Thank you for the commitment. So Clement, thanks. So Clement is also here to answer the questions that you might have. And I hope all of you have already conducted your first activities, hosted your first activities, and probably you also have questions around how to do that, how to choose the best date, what is the best way to go around hosting your activity, how to follow up, how to promote your activity. So these things, please make sure you ask them today, and in the next, let's say 25 minutes, we will try our best to answer. And we already have the first question coming from Angela. I hope I pronounce it correctly. It's either Angela or Angela. Recently, she created a prepayment event wherein she pays for the tickets and the members pay her back once they meet. So far it went well, except for one cancelled last minute, and that person have not paid Angela at all. So do you, Clement, have any tips for kind of this prepayment events and how to avoid these incidents in the future? Because we know that you're having the badminton group, and probably that involves some prepayment as well.
Okay, right. So first of all, I just want to start saying hi to everybody there. I'm not sure which ones of you are this prepayment question is relevant to, but you know, with regards to prepayment, I would just like to say first of all that if you can, don't do it at all because it's honestly a pain. Secondly, for a lot of events where you buy tickets, prepayment is usually not necessary from the role of a consul or from the role of an organizer. If members or participants want to join an event that requires a ticket, they can usually buy their own. It's very rare that there's a circumstance that dictates that you as an organizer need to buy it on their behalf before the event. And so at most of these events, we would say like, yeah, you know, whoever is able to come, please buy your ticket and we will see each other at the event, and we'll be there as a group. Having said that, if we're talking about activities where prepayment is unavoidable, such as the sporting event that I do in Singapore most of the time, and so there's there's a postpaid cost. Sorry, there's a it's actually pre-booked but postpaid cost involved, sometimes prepaid cost. And that has to be allocated or shared amongst people who like do attend or are supposed to attend, who are SVP. When it comes to this, I've heard a lot of proposals. Some people say that I should take prepayment, and that I should take, you know, either up to 50% to about like 100% of the cost before people attend. And I haven't done that. What I have done is I've actually said, okay, you know, pay me when you come for the event. And should you happen to skip out or miss out, I will try and follow up and try to recover the cost. Probably as Angela has, or Angela. But touching a bit more on this, on why I've chosen to make this decision and gone at a loss sometimes, is that financial priorities aside, in Singapore, where we're talking about badminton now, which I'm also doing for InterNations, in Singapore, where we have meetup.com groups that run a lot of badminton events, and they're pretty much like the primary portal for online joining of badminton groups in Singapore. They have a system where they a no-show system as well. So you can sign up for the event, and if you pull out like too close to the date or you don't show up, you do incur like an allotment or like a fee that you do have to discharge anyway. And this is obviously based on an honorary basis. The consequence of this, which is not an official InterNations guideline, but is actively applied on meetup.com, is that they do blacklist members. So on meetup.com, they are allowed at their discretion to remove members or bar members from future events. And I found effectively on InterNations that it's the same. So if somebody doesn't show up once and I ask them and I say that, hey, you know, I didn't catch you at badminton, and you know, regarding the fee, you know, I do state on the event that there is like a certain sunk cost that goes into it, and we all have to pitch in to you know, do our part for it as well, even especially if you didn't show up. And some people respond well to it, others not, and others not at all. And so over time, I find that you know, in terms of mitigation of in terms of running the group, you know, as long as you're able to absorb some of these losses, I think eventually it gets to a point where it becomes like sustainable. The more events you run, eventually evens out, as long as you're building a decent social nucleus that's keeping it going. If you can't build that nucleus within a certain period of time, usually for yourself, it's anywhere from 3 to 6 months to like a year, then there's probably a problem. And then whether it's not even really a question of money anymore. But coming back to just addressing the financial point of this, is that when it comes to, well, okay, for like events, maybe and ticketing where the price is set and standard and stuff like that, you know, yeah, I would say just don't do prepayment at all. And if it comes to events where you do have to pay out of your own pocket first and then collect money later, I would say that, you know, you do have to prepare like a certain margin to account for shortfalls. That's how the people on meetup.com do it as well. So for example, if it was going to run on average like 12 people in a session, and each person realistically would need to cover about $6, then you put it at $8 just to cover any shortfalls. And you run like on an average statistical overview, let's say you may have like 20% fallout most of the time of people, or 30% of people who don't show up. And financially, you have to account for that before you go into this at all. But of course, having said that, it doesn't necessarily apply to like general ticketing events like concerts or operas, because then it becomes like you're charging an overhead for that. Whereas like in my case, it's more just to charge like more of like an overhead just to keep the sessions viable and sustainable.
Okay.
Hope that answers.
Thank you, Clement.
And sorry, I speak too much.
Thank you very much. No, actually, it's good that you have so much experience to share. Angela also indicated that the prepayment, why she charged the prepayment was because the organizer has given the special prize plus the early bird promo. So to make it easy for the participants, she registered on behalf of them and paid online. But as I understand from your comment, from your experience, it's better not to do that. So Angela, maybe you just ask next time the participants to register themselves to get their own tickets or whatever is there you're organizing. And therefore you will avoid this prepayment and this paying with canceling last minute and having to pay for people who did not show up. Do you have anything to add, Sam?
Yeah, there is another method that we sometimes suggest, which is the second kind of offline guest list. So before you would even collect the money from participants, I would ask them to sign up on the web page so you know exactly what the attendees. And then before you start to pay for something, you ask them to double confirm with you. So offline, so send you maybe another private message after they've actually clicked attend. So that now you know you have a full list offline of who is definitely going to be able to do it. And then you would start collecting money before you would give money to the institution. That way you know exactly how many people can actually make it, and then how much money to collect.
Yeah, so there are different ways, and I hope, Angela, these comments were helpful for you. So we are moving to the... Yeah.
Sorry, if I could just add on to Sam's point, because I'm about to say something almost as exactly similar to what he's saying. Is that when I've been more on the ball as well, because I don't always have time to, I've actually done that as well. So I always ask the people the attendees who are RSVP to drop me their phone numbers as well. So we take it offline and I confirm their attendances before they show up. So in any case, afterwards, if anything happens or they do happen to not show as well, it's also helpful because it's easier for me to follow up, rather than do it through the InterNations portal. If you have a phone number through which you can contact somebody, it always makes it that much easier and more accountable. Sorry, that's all.
Thanks, Clement. Now you have a lot of useful input, so thank you very much for sharing it. Next question comes from all the way from Nairobi. We're quite international today. From Wangari. From Nairobi. So there was recently created a group, but the group isn't getting as much feedback as the Consul wanted. The Consul tries to post comments, engage with a few members, but also keeps in mind that they don't want to spam them or seem like nagging. So the question is to you, I think, Clement, but also I would like Sam then to follow up on it. What would be the best practice, how to get people involved, how to get your members responding to you and creating this feeling of a group? Do you have any advice on that?
I mean, first of all, it would be very helpful to know what sort of group that this person in Nairobi is perhaps involved with. Because social engagement, I found, is very diverse across different types of groups. For example, in Singapore, where it's pretty active, we have lots of different types, from like physical activity groups to just like plain social groups, to like food and beverage related groups. And when I say social groups, I mean just like, we have like a philosophy and debate group that goes like semi-regularly, maybe once or twice per month. So, and I've been to pretty much like all of them. So social engagement in all of these is pretty different, and trying to get the people to engage also comes across very differently. So if I was just going to make a very general comment, then I would have to just maybe pick two things without knowing what this group is. The first is that you really can benefit a lot from understanding what your group members' interests are. Because, for example, on my group, we have a WhatsApp group now that some people have come into and a couple have left. But we still have close to about, I don't know, anywhere from like 50 to 60 people in this WhatsApp group, which is at least almost about like a third of my total group composition on InterNations, which explains why some of them have left the group as well, because it gets a bit vibrational on your phone sometimes. But yeah, I mean, coming back to it, you know, really understanding what your social needs and what your social wants are and what kind of social dynamics they're okay with, and then putting them into this WhatsApp group where they're okay to engage and offline as well is actually, you know, it works for them. And for those for whom it doesn't work, like they leave the WhatsApp group. But that's where a lot of engagement takes place, like offline as well. And actually, touching back to it, like going one step down or one step deeper, is that to actually get these people into the group in the first place, they have to be first engaged like elsewhere. So i.e. through the InterNations website, or they actually came for the event. And from there, I start, you know, talking to them and then understanding like what they're about. And this is where the group building or group cohesion begins. And so very often it begins with like, you have on InterNations website, you have this very useful little function that shows you the people who have viewed you. And you can also see through which event. So pretty much when I was more active, I would pick like basically like almost everybody who came across my profile through a badminton event. I'll just click on them and shoot them a message and say like, hi, would you like to join us for badminton? And there have been like quite a few people who have actually joined that way. Not all of them have come for like more than one session, but you know, some of them have come and become quite regular as well. So that's one way to actually, you know, get that first contact with them. And yeah, subsequently as well, you know, on the group as well. I mean, I had a comment before that there were a lot of people in my group that I still hadn't met, and so we also had this very useful little function, which is like a group message, group broadcast that you can send out. And I would sometimes from time to time say, hey, you know, we've hit our first year anniversary, or we've hit like our first 100 people. You know, and I still haven't met like at least like 50 to 60 or more than half of you. So it'd be great, you know, if in 2015 or 2016 that, you know, I could get to see your faces and, you know, get to meet these people, you know, behind the screen or something like that. And sometimes I would get responses and I would actually meet some of them. And, you know, but take-up rate isn't very high for that. But the point for me is that like every touch point that you have, just try to get in touch, send a message and see if it develops into something more from that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Clement. We totally agree with your later comments, but not so much with the WhatsApp, because this is something we're trying to avoid.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and that's why, because Sam is going to explain you why.
Well, just to go back to the point that Clement is very right in the fact that social engagement is really important, but I think what we try to say is for new consuls especially is to go out to different activities and events and really meet people in the community, and that way you can kind of socially get that message across. Now, in terms of the WhatsApp group, well, I think it's kind of dangerous. We've done a lot of research into how that can actually negatively impact your group. Because what happens is that people, like you said, like, you know, it transfers it from the page to a different kind of offline method, but then there's no real advertisement from that point of view then. Because what we want to do is when you have a group, that's the first thing new members see, and the first thing how you really grow your group when you see a big, huge attendees list of maybe 20, 30, 40 people. But if people then will let you know via WhatsApp rather than the platform, then new members that would come and could potentially really enjoy your activities don't actually see a full attendees list, and then it kind of becomes something where it doesn't look as interesting as it could be. And that's kind of the problem with WhatsApp. Whereas I think really to get across and grow your group, there's so many things you can do both offline and online. I mean, the more regularly you host activities, the bigger that becomes on the start page, the more people get to view it, the more people join the activity, the more people can see how popular it is. And then the more activities you attend of other different people's consuls and different activity groups, that's where you really get that social engagement across.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. Which is why I've actually for WhatsApp, it's more of a social utility, and I've been quite mindful and conscious about not taking anything away from InterNations, because as you said, attendance on the events is a form of advertisement, and that was something I realized pretty early on as well. So I told all the people in the WhatsApp group that, you know, if you want to be registered for this event, indicate your RSVP on InterNations, and that's going to be, you know, our official go-to and follow-up for that. So, you know, WhatsApp definitely for us has just been used as like a social utility, but we've kept very much of the attention still on the InterNations portal. And the other thing I would like to add is, you know, it's something for InterNations to consider as well. Like why we had to take a lot of things offline to like WhatsApp was also, okay, one thing is that telecommunication is easier and more convenient, but also that InterNations lacks a real-time, instant, and bonding feature on the website where people can just all get together and just be like on there all the time, or just like post stuff and just like, you know, type and reply to each other and like just keep flow of dialogue going, you know. I mean, we do have message boards and stuff like that, but it's very different and it's not very cultural and not quite so social. It's more of like messages, you know. So that was something a little bit like why we had to do like WhatsApp too. Sorry.
Yeah. No, actually, we do understand the need, and our developers are working right now on the app, so it's going to be released quite soon. And yeah, and we're looking forward to that, because with time this will be also providing some chat functions for communication within the group, with the members, and so on, and hopefully it will replace the external apps.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think once the app, it's really going to have that immediacy that we need once activities, you know. I mean, you can just take it off your phone, probably. And I think once we have the app as well, it's going to be a lot easier to really get in contact with your attendees, because you already have it on the phone, you know. Yeah. So I think once that comes out.
Yeah.
So that we're all waiting for it, also from our side.
Okay, let me know.
Yeah. There is a question from Benjamin, and I think that's something that Sam could answer. There is a small new activity group. It's called Zurich Boomers. So I guess boomers refers to the age.
Yeah, from the
currently 24 people. But when Benjamin filters the InterNations members for potential members to the group, from Zurich, they're 45 years old or older. He gets more than 500. Is there a way to get all the contacts? Well, just to fast forward the answer, no, we don't give out the personal contacts of people, because we are protecting the personal information, and that is something that we cannot share. But there are other ways. Is there other way that we can message specific age group?
Specific age group, not so much, because in the search filter, when you go into the advanced search in the top right-hand corner of the platform, what happens is a big list comes down, and that will filter through all the different people in Zurich. We also have the smaller locations, like different parts. I mean, if we're in Munich in Germany, you can have smaller places like, as an example, Schwabing, just a small part of Munich. So you can kind of see where people are within Zurich. So when you want to contact them, you can go directly onto their page and then contact them through private messaging. But as you said, there's no real way to contact over 500 people, just for the simple matter of that we really don't want, like, have the threat of spamming people, you know, because I think that's really it. But you can private message people and filter by location even better, even more accurately than just Zurich, would probably be the best way to kind of cut down the number from less than 500 to a really feasible group of people to contact and help grow your group.
Yeah, and also make sure you get in touch with your contact person, with your group's manager here at InterNations, and maybe you can figure out something else, how you can reach out to your age group, and also develop some techniques how you can promote your group throughout that age group in Zurich. I'm sure something can be figured out. So make sure you get in touch with the contact person. This is quite a specific question. Okay, since our hangout is approaching the end, I have one more question, and I think it's also more related to Sam's knowledge and competences. One of our consuls has submitted a question before the hangout, actually, and his suggestion would be that all activities should have an option to invite everybody in the area. And then people can choose where they would like to go to activity or not. But this is kind of...
This location?
Yeah, I think this is what you covered, right?
Yeah, I think the question we're looking at was where you can put the location in the activity description. That's what you mean? Yeah, so basically how you can put in the description and invite everybody. The thing is that we don't like to have location in the title, because then groups are only for Albatross members, because we really like to reserve a particular group of people. So we always put the location within the body of the actual text. That way we can actually block it from everybody. So only certain people can attend. The people who are really like motivated to join InterNations when we get to know other people, you know, and make it as exclusive as possible. Actually, we also don't, when we have the photos for the activities, we try and just make them really nice photos and not flyers and stuff, so people wouldn't know what it is.
Yeah. So I think that should cover the question. And we're already at almost half an hour of our hangout. So I would like to ask Clement to give your one piece of advice to the consuls who are right now just like starting to get on their feet in their consulship role, creating their first activities, successful, not so successful, going forward. What would be one piece of advice from yourself as a consul who've been already with us for quite some time?
Yeah, I'll just give one piece of advice. It would be, treat your don't think of running a group as a business, but in a certain way do. Treat your group members like your customers, and really understand what they want, and then deliver it to them. I think that's the best way to align interests all across the board and really get things to come together in the event and in the direction of the group, and going forward, more social forces. So treat them like customers. But like my point of view is to really understand them, because sometimes if you think of it just in like social, and then it gets a bit like disorganized, because people say, oh, why don't you run the group this way, why don't you run the group that way, or I have this concern, I have that concern. Like, at the end of the day, you need to look at like, what like the conducive and those members who are progressive to the ongoing and future of the group, that what they really want and what they're really interested in, and then focus on that and like build your activities and your interests and direction around that, and then things will kind of go, and then people will come and go as well, so just don't worry too much about it.
Yeah, that's a quite a different comment from what we usually have from our experienced consuls. They usually say have fun, but
I do have fun.
Basically, yeah, exactly. I really like your idea that also you are the creator of the group, you are the consul, you're the owner of the idea, one who's driving the group forward. So make sure that everything that you do is according to your kind of your perceptions, how you like to view the group, how you would like, which direction you would like to develop the group. Because at the end, you're the core person there, you're the crucial part of this group. And without you as a consul, everything will fall apart unless somebody else steps in. So that's, I think that's really important to treat it as an organism, as an organization, and have certain plans for development in the future as well, as you mentioned, Clement. So thank you very much. And from your side, Sam, what would be one piece of advice?
I think for me, a good piece of advice, especially because it's the catch-up for kind of newer consuls, a good piece of advice would be to always attend as many activities and events as possible and really try and learn from other more experienced consuls on the ground in your community, because they'll probably have really good information about that particular community and really help you along that way. They'll come to your own activities, give you advice on how you're running them. So I think really kind of try and find a local guide as well as take all the support possible from us.
Yeah, exactly. The same would be from my side. Make sure you use all the support possible locally, work together with your co-consuls if you have any. Talk to other consuls in your local community, maybe the same interest groups like sports or leisure activities or arts and culture. Look around for other ideas that may be also useful for your group. And I don't want to repeat it, but I think it's very important. Have fun with your activities. Keep up the motivation, be enthusiastic, drive forward, and we are always here to help you. For more hangouts, circle us on Google+, InterNations Academy we are, and we're hosting these hangouts every month, so make sure you join the next ones, also coming up with your questions. I'd like to thank you very much to Clement, who made it last minute. I really appreciate your time and effort. So thank you very much, and I'm wishing you all the best with your upcoming activities.
No, thank you.
Keep up the good work.
And Sam, yeah, it's been fun. I mean,
Thanks,
interesting half an hour.
Thank you very much. And to all of you who are watching us, good luck with your upcoming activities. Have fun, and we'll see you later. Here's InterNations Academy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes.